Prime Minister, what do you say to the critics who say Israel owns America? You know, Israel is who makes America do things they want them to do, whether it's through AIPAC, funding, money. You'll typically hear this. This has been overly said the last couple of years in a major way. There's a community of Americans that at this point believe that whatever Israel wants, they make a phone call to America. America better do or else. Do you agree with that?
Hi guys, this is Sahar TV, and in today's video we will see Patrick Bet-David asking Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, if Israel controls America. It's an accusation that I've been hearing many times. So let's see what finally the Prime Minister of Israel has to say about this accusation. Let's go.
Prime Minister, what do you say to the critics who say Israel owns America? You know, Israel is who makes America do things they want them to do, whether it's through AIPAC, funding, money. You'll typically hear this. This has been overly said the last couple of years in a major way. There's a community of Americans that at this point believe that whatever Israel wants, they make a phone call to America. America better do or else. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely not. I think it's full of hokum. First of all, do you know President Trump? I mean, sort of, I've known him for many years.
Sure.
Okay. You don't make him do anything. He does what he thinks is in America's interest, and he's very forceful about it. When he sees allies who don't step up to the plate, you know, he's not shy about saying it. And we have a different relationship altogether. It's not one of coercion or manipulation. It's one of common interests and common values. And I think that people understand that, because Israel is different. It really is. You know, we know that we have to fight for ourselves, and we do. But when we fight for ourselves, we fight for you too, because we fight Iran. Iran tried to murder President Trump not once, but twice. Iran killed and wounded thousands of Americans with their IEDs, explosive devices, in Iraq and Afghanistan. Iran killed 241 Marines in Beirut. They bomb your embassies. They burn American flags. They have mobs chanting, "Death to America, death to America." So when we fight Iran, we're not just fighting our war, we're fighting your war, but we are fighting that war here in the Middle East. And let me tell you what would happen, and as someone who had been in the Middle East as a child, I think you can appreciate this. It's not only we who are threatened by Iran, it's our Arab neighbors too. They know that Iran wants to conquer them, pillage their oil fields, take over the Middle East, the maritime routes that control world trade. So they know that. But if you look at who's actually fighting Iran, it's Israel.
By the way, recently the Lebanese have realized the immense destruction Hezbollah brought onto Lebanon. So a lot of Lebanese called him out. In Iran, there is this aspiration to create a Sharia, a caliphate, worldwide caliphate. And Israel is not the only part of it. Jordan is also a part of it. Lebanon, Syria, Egypt. The entire world is a part of it. So Iran is one of the countries who is completely outspoken about spreading that Sharia all around the world.
It's Israel, our brave soldiers, our incredibly brave soldiers. And this tiny country, you know, President Trump asked me, how do you guys do this? I mean, you're such a small country, you know, we're the size of New Jersey, bigger than Rhode Island, but that's it. We're slightly smaller than New Jersey, and we take on this enormous empire with all its proxies, this anti-American empire that threatens to kill the president and chants death to America. How do you do this? And I said, well, you know, you're like an enormous lion, almost like a prehistoric saber-toothed tiger. You're enormous. We're not. But we are, you know, we're the, you know, the badger, you know, this little animal.
Absolutely.
Badger. And you see a badger being, you know, some tiger or lioness is trying to kill it, and it sort of turns around. It has very sharp teeth, and it knows how to go to the weakness points, you know, to the points of vulnerability of the enemy. And you see these things, you know, I watch NGO Wild when my wife lets me, because she likes to watch cooking shows, okay? So late at night, after we have this argument, we settle on some compromise. And on that...
Baby, you're the Prime Minister. Get another TV. Get another TV so you can watch whatever you want.
Geo Wild, I see these films of this badger, this tiny creature, it's about this big, taking on a lion, and the lion runs away. So Israel is the badger of the international scene. It has the fortitude, the will to fight our enemies because of our history, because for so long we didn't have a state, we didn't have an army, We didn't have the ability to defend ourselves, which culminated in this crescendo of massacres that culminated in the worst massacre of them all, the Holocaust, in which a third of our people were annihilated. We have that in our bones, in our hearts, in our soul, and we fight. And that's a very, I think President Trump would like to see more Israels around the globe, because, everybody who says, America first, I can respect that, but I don't think they want America alone. And if you can have allies that actually share your values and fight for them in various parts of the world, and especially in the Middle East with Iran trying to take over the world, I think that's a valuable addition. So, it'll take time for this to sink in, but it will sink in.
Yeah, the topic of America first, it's become a little bit more clear where people are being put in different groups, America first and America only, and that debate's going on right now, which is a great debate. I actually like listening to both sides make their argument. Well, you said, do you think President Trump is a type of a man that you can get anything you want and make him do what he wants? I don't think President Trump is. But I do think Biden and others are. So the whole criticism of the fact that Israel, whatever they want, they can call America and have favors being done, I would agree with you on Trump, but with Biden. So maybe a question that I don't think has been asked yet. Putin was asked 2 weeks ago if the war between Ukraine and Russia would have happened under Trump. He said, no, it wouldn't have happened. So for you, would the war and the Hamas attack have happened if President Trump was president instead of Biden?
Of course.
I don't know. It's a good question, but you said something about Biden that...
Of course it would happen. Israel would have retaliated against Hamas and against the Palestinians if an attack like this would happen under Trump. What do you mean? Of course. On the contrary, I think this war would have ended faster because Trump would have advocated for a faster, more decisive war rather than Biden, who is influenced by the international community.
Just point out the facts. In fact, President Biden supported us in the beginning of the war after this horrific massacre, and he came here, and I very much appreciate it. But as the war progressed and the vilifications of Israel, the distortions on the media began to pile on, he began to take a different course. And when we were just 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way in Gaza, I said we have to go into that last position that they had, where they had organized battalions. It's in a city called Rafah in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. And he said, don't go there. And he said, if you do go there, I'll smack an embargo on you. Now, you're fighting a seven-front war.
What a great thing to hear from the President of the United States, who's supposed to be your closest ally.
And all of a sudden you're slapped with an embargo of weapons. That was tough. And I said to President Biden, who I've known for many years, I respect the fact you're the President of the United States, but I'm the Prime Minister of the one and only Jewish state. And we've been fighting to survive in our small place under the sun. It's been a battle that has been going on for 3,500 years. So I'll have to do what we have to do. And then a few days later, Tony Blinken, who was the Secretary of State, came to Israel, and he said, the President is serious about this embargo. And I said, Tony, I know it's serious because you stopped all the weapons. You slow-walked them before, but now you've stopped them. And then I said to him this. He said, well, how are you going to do it then? I said, Tony, we'll fight with our fingernails if we have to. But we're not going to leave. It's like the Allies would leave a quarter of the German battalions in place and not go into Berlin. And I said, would you take that? Would you take that, Patrick? Of course you would. So we didn't take it either. We did it against the opposition of the American president. So much for Israel controlling the United States. We don't. But we do seek to control our destiny. And when somebody commits a crime like they did on October 7th, decapitating our men, raping our women and then murdering them, burning children alive in front of their parents, taking 255 hostages, grandmothers with their grandchildren, this horror, and pledged to do it again and again and again. Well, what choice do we have? We have to fight them and their Iranian patrons, and we did just that. We did that first with American help, then with American opposition, and when President Trump came in, with great American help, which I truly appreciate. And I think President Trump does what he thinks is good for America. I don't think that. I know that for a fact. He's a great leader.
Let me just say one last thing before I end this. First of all, I'll include the full video in the link in the description so you can watch the full podcast. It's amazing. And to the people saying that Israel controls America through AIPAC, AIPAC is run by American Jews, American citizens who happen to be Jewish, who want the best for the state of Israel because this is their indigenous homeland. This is a place where they want safe. This is a place where they want their families to be protected. They are allowed to do that. They are allowed to lobby in the United States and make sure that Israel's interest is taken care of. And to the people saying Israel controls America and holds them by the balls, don't you think it's a little weird that the strongest country in the world is being controlled by a tiny, tiny state, smaller than New Jersey? The logic behind it is flawed. America is a strong enough country to make their own decisions, to decide which wars they want to go into or out of, and that's it. Stop involving Israel and blaming Israel for everything. Capiche? If you'd like to watch more of my stuff, please check out my channel down below. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that notification button so you can be notified every time I upload new content. If you'd like to support me and the channel financially, you can do that using Buy Me Coffee or Patreon down in the links below. Also, we now have a Discord that you can join down in the link below. And now you can become a YouTube member and enjoy specific YouTube perks. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.